I wrote down a few highlights. I didn't want to miss any. He sold over 500 million books. 500 million. 59 times on the New York Times bestseller list. 318 books. That's a lot of books. He's a marketing genius. I want to introduce, he's spoken to over 7 million people in 80 countries. He loves to share his stories, inspire others, and he's a good friend. And right now he's just releasing his new book with his beautiful wife called Ask, The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. Let me introduce Mark Victor Hansen. Come on up, big hand for Mark.
Good morning, everyone. Everyone say, wow. Charles said, you come up with the good news after the two best friends of yours. So, husband and wife have an acrimonious divorce, meaning painful. She dies, first gets to heaven. St. Peter said, one word gets you in. The wife says, what's the words? You got to spell the word love, says L-O-V-E. Said, you're in. By the way, I got to go to the bathroom. Would you just man the gate here, so to speak, or woman the gate? Well, sure enough, you can't believe it, but her husband dies right after her, comes up to the gate and sees his wife and goes, oh no. He looks at her and says, what do I got to do to get in? Says, spell one word. Said, what's the word? Czechoslovakia. All right. What we're going to talk about now is limitless freedom, and I'm going to do what's called AK, applied kinesiology. Take your two fingers, jab at your chest, say, I'm into limitless freedom. Everyone? Limitless freedom. Oops. Let me go back one. This is my beautiful, beloved wife, the goddess of exquisiteness, and we're congratulating you all on being here. So everyone take your right hand, put it over your left shoulder, please, and say congratulations for being here. Take your arms out the right and left, congratulate your neighbors for being here. Because what you just heard George say is that we are needing to say Semper Fi, like Robert says. We are needing to do something different because we've got an interesting problem. We've got an economy that has a debt now of 43 trillion and total earnings in America is 21 trillion. So I'm going to have you and I figure out how to shorten that 2x gap if you're ready. Take your fingers, touch yourself at chest level, say, I'm ready. I'm ready. Give your neighbor knuckle jive right and left and say, you're ready. Now, how do you do that? You got to be a great, limitless, serial entrepreneur. Now, serial means multiple. You know, I've written more books than anybody and sold more, 59 times number one, 500 million books. But the fact of the matter is we don't do anything we can't sequel and prequel. That means before and after. And that's the same with all the companies that I own. I own the Hansen family of companies. Our son is here with us. Because what you really want, you say, do I want to be an entrepreneur? That's somebody who takes a problem, fixes it, scales it, and makes a vast profit. Everyone touch yourself, say, that's me. That's me. Whoa, that's not enough Zoom. I need to hear you thunder it. Everyone? That's me. Right, because why you are an entrepreneur, a business person, is to create freedom. Freedom created, you got to have the money, to have the experiences, to have the travel, to have all the good things you want. And the little line in green says, look, you're going to live to be a minimum of 120 years. Now I'm 74 standing in front of you, but I'm in great health. If you have high quality life, you want a high quantity of life. Most of you say, well, mom or dad died at 87, so I think I'll do the same. What a dumb idea that is. Genesis 6:3 says you're supposed to go a minimum 120. So I'm going to go 127 with options for renewal. So you've got more time. Go ahead, I'll take the applause. Thank you. Remember, when I was in graduate school, I was Bucky Fuller, the smartest guy at Harvard, Einstein's best student, a guy who did geodesic domes, a guy I studied with for 7 years, traveled around the world with, as did Kiyosaki. He and I were not together doing that. The point is that when I was with Bucky, you know, he had 15 doctorates at Harvard, and it's amazing. But the guy taught me to think limitless. The guy taught me to think comprehensive. The guy taught me that he was trained in World War I. He was born in 1895, but he was training as an admiral, to war gaming, and then you got to go to peace gaming. But he said there's always enough for war, But there's a new war, and that is an economic war, and you and I have got to come up to bringing that forward. Everyone say, I'm ready. Because there's an unlimited amount if you understand this is it. Here's what we've learned in all the trainings in the world. What happens if you want a tenfold? Now that's what Google does. They do everything 10x. You watch Grant Cardone on video or you met him and he and our friends, you got a 10x. Hold up your hands as high as you can and say 10x. 10x. One thing only gives you 10x, confidence. Everyone say confidence. Because you 10x your consciousness. Now what does that mean? That means if you're making 10,000, you go to 100. You're making 100, you go to a million. You're making a million, you go to 10 million, you go to 10 million, you go to 100 million, you go to 100 million, you go to a billion. Point to your temples and go, that's interesting. One thing gives it to you, confidence. Now, if you don't have confidence, all you got to believe is that Ken and Tarl and George and Robert and the other 50 total speakers here all believe more in you maybe than you believe in yourself. I'm here to have you expand the orbit, the energy, the aura of your own consciousness. Everyone take your hands out and say, I'm expanding my consciousness. Everyone? And if you don't believe in you, all you got to do is believe that I believe in you. I had a lot of people say, you can't sell 1 billion books. Well, look, I'm halfway there. When I wrote my outrageous business plan, I'm going to show you how to set outrageous goals. Here's what happens. Most people say, I can't, because it's easy to say no. It's hard to say yes. So your homework assignment, should you choose to accept it, the first is you get your little 3x5 card. Now, I do everything in purple, of course, because that's God's highest color, top of the electromagnetic spectrum. But you write on a little card, can't. And then you cut it off, and you cut it off in front of your spouse or spouse equivalent, your business partners, your minister, priest, rabbi, because we got to get rid of can'ts. Everyone say, I'm kicking out can'ts. Everyone? We're going to do it physiologically. Kick it gently, but don't kick the person in front of you. Say, I'm kicking out can'ts. Everyone? Because all you got to believe is that I believe you can do it, and then you can do it. Now, what are we talking about? To have limitless result, you got to do limitless thinking. Now, you are all born over and down. You're born with 18 billion brain cells that can't come to work until you make the decision, the subconscious makes a provision, and then you go out to exercise it, and the results show up. I'm going to show you exactly what I did, because limitless consciousness creates limitless freedom, limitless money, limitless life, limitless lifestyle. How many of you could stand having a better life and lifestyle? You just heard George say, look, it's okay to start broke. The reason I won the Horatio Alger Award and I've nominated Ken for it is because I had to buy all my own clothes starting at 9 years old. My parents loved me, but they didn't have any money. They were Danish immigrants. I thought everybody was Danish, went to the Danish Brotherhood every Saturday night and had blonde hair and blue eyes. I didn't know. What do I know? Right? But he didn't have any money because he didn't have the models that you're going to get during this seminar, during these couple days here together. So 4 principles, 4 principles. Everyone, you're going to memorize them before I'm done in this 45 minutes. Everyone take your hand up and say 4 principles. Point at your tongue and say 1, limitless thinking. Everyone? You got to take off pretend you got blinders on like a horse has and say, I'm throwing off the blinders. Everyone, because we put them on ourselves. We put ourselves in our own prison of lack and limitation and shortage. Number 2, you got to know exactly what you want to be, what you want to do, what you want to have, where you want to go, what you want to see, who you want to travel with, who you want to hang with. And it costs nothing. 47 years ago, and I'm bankrupt, $2 million. I'll talk about it in a second. I wrote down 200 people I want to spend time with, play with, grow with, be expanded by. Nowadays, you even get your picture, put yours next to theirs. I called it, the book I wrote then was a bestseller called Future Diary. Fascinating. I'm great friends with a lot of people like Richard Branson and that. People that, there's no way a guy that comes from a blue-collar city that has no connections can go hang with the world's leaders. Just can't even happen. But you got to be it before you can do it, before you can have it. Point at your temples and go, that's interesting. We're going to show you exactly how to do it. It's so simple, you're not going to believe it. Number 3 is you got to write it in detail. And my homework assignment, should you choose to accept it, is write 101 goals. How many goals? Give yourself 20 minutes to do it. And don't say, I can't. Remember, we've kicked that out. We've eradicated that. There's no more can't. Because it's up to you and I to not go up 10%. I make 100,000. I'm going to go up 10%, make 110,000 next year. My wife will be so damn happy, and the boss will be so damn happy. And the government and the company and the country collapses because you and I didn't do what we knew how to do. It's never been easier to make more money in less time and have more fun doing it. We've gone from an analog to a digital economy. We had one billionaire, Rockefeller. Now we got 3,000. We got 22 million millionaires, multi-millionaires in America, according to Forbes magazine. Never been better. Last, you just heard George say it correctly. Take your hands out like this, please. Fingers out like this, everyone. This is a mastermind. We look at them and say 1 = 11. Everyone? This is where you get your team together, you get your dream together, and team means together, everyone accomplishes miracles. Everyone say, I'm in the miracle business. Somebody saying that ain't true, I don't even go to church. Einstein, who taught my teacher, who taught me, Einstein said either everything's a miracle or nothing's a miracle. So as far as I'm concerned, everything, me being here is a miracle. Now 2 days ago, I filmed for the biggest promotion company that has Tony Robbins and I travel all through Asia. And Richard and Veronica Tan are old friends for 30 years. We have giant audiences everywhere. But they say, look, we got to have a clean way to get rid of pollution, and you know it. We'll pay you 10 grand to do 45 minutes on this. I'm just giving you the distillate because of my limitless thinking. They heard me say, look, all we got to do is plant 1 trillion trees. We get everything cool. We end pollution. We feed total humanity because I want to plant fruit trees. And you say, well, can we do that? Yeah, clean the air. It's going to be really profitable because right now we got people working against us. The faceless bureaucrats are burning up processing plants of food. We're having shortages. Should you be a prepper and prepare for yourself? The men in here that are old enough to be Boy Scouts like I am and very keen on the Boy Scouts, our grandkids are Boy Scouts and they'll all go Eagle. The point is that you got to be prepared because the yogurt's hitting the fan. That's what you heard. I want everyone to plant fruit trees so we can feed total humanity. I've personally planted over 250,000 trees at Yellowstone Park. When you drive in, it says Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield planted all these fruit trees. Help yourself. Thank you. But I'm asking you to do the same. Now, if you were born, you ought to plant a tree. In Israel, if you ever plan on dying, you've got to plant a tree. So I think there's 2. 3, if you ever fell in love, I think you got to plant a tree. Now, those of you that are serial lovers, yeah, you get to do you get to do the orchard. And I love Johnny Appleseed. Now, here's the affirmation that I'm going to ask you to live with at least 4 times a day: breakfast, lunch, dinner, before we go to sleep. Those of you who are into spiritual studies, and I hope you are, because I'm going to teach you the 4-step hierarchy I created, different than Maslow's, is self-awareness. That's what you got to be, do, and have. To self-expression, right? I wanted to be a professional speaker, even though I was bankrupt, had no money, had no connection, had no ability to do what I'm doing here on the platform. Self-mastery, I'm pretty good at this now, at least I think so. I've got critics. But then you go into self-realization, where you're in tune with the infinite, and the infinite's in tune with you, where you start every morning with prayer and meditation, and you humble yourself, and you say, wait, I want to go into God awareness, and what would God do in this situation that I'm in right now? And the point is, the first word that God ever said, Moses is talking to God. He said, look, man, you're asking me to go against my brother Ramsey. I know that SOB, and he don't like me to start with. Because Moses had a lot of light in his energy. He had a countenance of authority. And yeah, he split the scene, and he was 80, but he's got another 40 years. And Big G is saying, you're going back. And he's saying, okay, God, I don't like this burning bush crap, but tell me, who is it? And he doubted 3 times and said, I stutter, all that stuff. You know the lies. He said, tell me, I got to go see Ramsey. He's going to kill my ass. Tell me what it is I'm supposed to say. I get goosebumps telling you that. It's so profound. He said, who do I say sent me? He said, that I am sent you. Your I am sends you into the future. Your I am is where you choose. Your I am is where you choose to be more, do more, have more, think more, live more, and be limitless. Everyone say, I am limitless. Everyone, I. And I'm asking you to affirm 4 times a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, but most importantly, before you go to sleep at night, wave your little finger, please, before I go to sleep at night. I am creating. Now, how does creation work? Well, look, and I know I'm doing this spiritually a little bit, but that's my shtick, and if it bugs you, too bad. I used to watch Zig Ziglar doing it. I thought, what in the hell is he doing? But it makes sense. God created all these things. Genesis 1:28 says, you and I are created in the image and likeness of the creator of infinite intelligence, infinite wisdom, infinite love. Now, if that's true, then I am creating limitless, overwhelming abundance. Everyone stand up quickly. Stand up. As loud as you can, shout that at me if you would, please. I am creating limitless, overwhelming abundance. Shake your neighbor's hand right, left, front, and back, and quickly say, you are creating. You're great. Take your 2 fingers, point at me, and do the whole affirmation at me, please. Creating a bunch. You may be seated. Okay. Now, how do you set goals that are so simple that you can't miss them? Back to the little 3x5 card. This is what I use the whole time, forever. Because when you write a thing and make it clear, it's established onto you, so it says, I'm so happy and glad. Everyone say that, please. Now remember, you see, this is June 28, 1993, when Chicken Soup is coming out, after we'd been rejected by 144 people. I'm so happy and glad I'm selling 1.5 million Chicken Soup at the Soul Books in a year and a half, signed by myself, by Dr. Jack Canfield, and our publisher, HCI. What's the result? A year and a half later is Christmas, because most books are sold during November, December. We sold 1.3 million by December 94, 5 million, because I write all the goals for Jack and Mark by 95, 10 million the next year by 96, 15 million by 1999. Now we've sold over 500 million books. Why? Because if it's in writing, all you do is catch up to it. And you say, well, that's too easy. I ain't got it in my mind. You ain't got it until you got it in writing, until you look at it 4 times, until you put it in the mirror when you're shaving or doing your makeup, and you look it in, you etch it into the fabric of your being, into your soul. Because you and I are the ones that are going to save the problem. Not the damn faceless politicians that are making some really stupid ass, dumbass, squared decisions as far as I'm concerned. Now, a few of you might like some of the idiots in different places, but I happen to think they're not very smart. So you all know that when you're setting your goals, you're going to set 101. How many are you going to set? 101. Now, some of you say, whoa, wait a second. Somebody taught me different. Well, I was just on the biggest podcast in Europe with Rob Moore, with my wife, because we do a lot of podcasts around the world. He had about 10 million people listening. So I said, he started the show different. He said, I heard you talk to 15,000 people in London and you goal shamed me. I said, excuse me? He said, my teacher says you should have 5 goals. And he said, last year I had 5 goals. I hit 4 of that. I'll call that 90%. He said, you came along, said you got to set 101 and you never crossed them out. I got the milk, I got the eggs, I got the butter. You write down in God's highest color, purple. Right? Victory. What are you going to write next to it? Victory, because all of us have pulsations. The big word is vicissitudes of life will get you. Anyhow, the point is, he said, I wrote down 101 goals. Last year I made $30 million because of you, but I only hit 30% of my goals. He said, I couldn't be more thankful. There's nothing you could ask me to do probably that I wouldn't do, because I never heard anyone say, hold up and write goals. They got to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic. Realistic is not the time we're in. The guy I'm going to talk about most is Elon Musk. What is he doing? He's going to bail our asses out. SpaceX isn't going into space and landing, which he's the only one that could do it. NASA, 50 years, screwed it up because it's government and they didn't do it. And any of you working for NASA, I love and bless you. We got up there in the 60s. Bucky was senior advisor at NASA, so I love all the astronauts. They're great friends still. Buzz Aldrin and are like that. The point, I'm not picking on them. The point is we stopped backing what needed to be backed, and I'm on the board of Back to Space, so I know what I'm talking about. What did he do? He says, this year I pick up near-Earth asteroids. The first one has $10 quadrillion worth of gold, silver, precious metals, and I'm going to bail us out of this. He swears like I do, so you can pick up the words. Now, when you say your 101 goals, you're going to do it through a tennis tournament, and you're going to do the best of 8 and get to wherever you want to go. But your driver goal, in our case, 1.3 million in a year and a half, 1.5 million. Right, we're 200,000 short, but our driver goal gave us everything else we wanted: the cars, the houses, the travel. And at that time, Jack naively said, when I get $1 million, I'm going to retire. I said, Jack, I'm a multimillionaire before we started working together. You ain't going to retire. He's older than me. He graduated Harvard when I was graduating elementary school, probably. Here's Bucky Fuller, for those of you that don't know him, and he had lots of stuff, and he got great books, and you ought to read, Utopia or Bolivia, his first book you ought to read by his 40 books. But he says, real wealth is ideas, 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 ideas. You're coming to a seminar because this is ideas, ideas. All I'm trying to do is gadfly you, hit the spiritual spark plug to wake you up to your ideas, times energy. Everyone make the infinity sign. The infinity sign is what Ken has on all of his companies. The infinity sign. Make it. Everybody, use your hands. Infinity. You got to get this because energy is infinite. It's omni-recyclable. We don't have to go through the laws, but real wealth is ideas times energy. Therefore, real wealth is potentially infinite, but it starts with who? Touch yourself, say me. Touch your neighbor's elbow and say thee. Now, I'm with Bucky Fuller and I go crazy. I say, wow, I got to write infinite goals of what I want to do. And I wrote down all my crazy goals. One of which was I want to talk to people like you around the world, get paid highly for it, although this is free. The book that you just heard Ken say that my wife and I have written, it is the #1 right now. It's called Ask, The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. And we teach you how to relate the 7 roadblocks. First one is a sense of self-worth, then doubt, then fear, then naivete. Right, you're going to read it. We've got a few of them out there. They're $20 if you want one. They're $28 if you buy it on Amazon. So it's like a good deal for you, and we'll sign it and all that. But we only got a few, and we're going to give you a bunch of other stuff. What do we teach you? 3 things. Ask yourself. Ask others. Ask God. Now, with God, all things are possible. Therefore, you're dealing with infinite stuff if you pay attention and do it, and you ought to have it, because each of us has to overcome fear, ignorance, and negativity. Now, one of the books I'm going to show you that I wrote that's a bestseller is called 1 Minute Millionaire, and it's a whole series, and I got $1 million for it. We wrote it for Random House, but in that we teach you get a rubber band. Now, this is one of your second or third homework assignment. You get a rubber band. Every time you think a negative thought for the next 30 days, you're going to do this. Ow! Everyone simulate it. Hold up your left hand, please. Take your rubber band and go, Monday night, Ken, George, Tarl, my wife and I had dinner together, a great meal here in Scottsdale. Tarl said, I learned that from you. And he said, I'm with this woman way before his wife, and she's saying something, and I'm just unconscious, and I go, ow! She said, did I say something negative? Now, you also see this sign at Ken's, and it's a circle. It comes from Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman philosopher who I hope you read. But he said, hard times create strong men. Everyone say, and women. Remember, they were chauvinistic in the old days. Everyone say, that's me. Strong men create good times. We're going to go back into good times because you and I are awake. I've come through being bankrupt, so I'm real clear that I decided to be a strong man after I wanted to kill myself. Then good times create weak men, and we've just come out of the best times ever, but nothing compared to what's going to happen in this 10 years. There's going to be more money, more billionaires than ever, and now we've never had $1 trillion, and all of a sudden Apple becomes $1 trillion, and all of a sudden we've got one guy is a trillionaire. He's running 5 multi-billion-dollar companies. I can name all of them, but Solar City and Tesla, and I'm going to show you that at the very end, so it's very cool. You heard George say the yin and yang thing, which is the whole Asia, yin and yang. Crisis equals opportunity. We got the biggest crisis. We've had a COVID confinement cocoon. Stealing our liberty, stealing our freedom. That's why this Limitless Conference exists, because some people tried to screw with us. And they're going to try to do it again if you're not awake. Everyone take your hands and touch your temple. Say, I'm awake. Because the opportunities are limitless, because a lot of people are shutting down, are going to stay shut down, are going to be wearing masks, are going to be fearful and not understand what the truth is. And you and I have got to change all that, and it's up to us to do it. So I said, how well did this guy do? Well, he was born in South Africa, went to Canada to study, came to America, studied at Wharton, and got a business degree in economics. But then he goes to Stanford. And at Stanford, he does some really interesting things. 1995, he writes outrageous goals. He's going to have sustainable energy production and consumption. He's going to be on the internet. He's going to have space exploration. He's going to have artificial intelligence. He's going to rewrite genetics. He wouldn't go to class. He still got A's because he handed this in to the professors, and they said, I don't know if you could do it, but it sure looks cool if you could do it. So if you're going to have limitless goals, everyone say, I got limitless goals. Everyone? You got to have limitless goals. What did he do? He did Tesla and Tesla Pi. What is this phone doing? Remember, he got Apple, Tim Cook, who got paid $100 million last year, stole his top designers to build the Apple car. Elon Musk said, you're screwing with the wrong guy. Tim Cook said, what are you going to do? He built a new phone that comes out in 2 weeks called Tesla Pi. If you haven't watched it on YouTube, you need to, because it has automatically 2 terabytes. It has an open system, so you put it in the sunlight for 2 hours and it runs for 60 hours. It's going to be connected to his 40,000 satellites. I get goosebumps telling you. It goes on, but you got the picture. He says Apple's going to go bankrupt because they screwed with me. I like Apple products. I like Steve Jobs, his guts and all that. But the point is, you don't have to steal anybody's people. He's got a car. He said, they're going to catch up. He said, they're 5 years behind where I am. It didn't matter that they stole my people because I'm the one with the ideas. Everyone say, I'm the one with the ideas. You got to be careful not to take in crisis news network information all day long. It will when I went bankrupt because I watched the news and I read the New York Times. I was living in New York and I went, oh my God, because they get paid to despoil you. They get paid to pollute you. They get paid to have you crash and burn. They get paid to make things go wrong, not right. The New York Times should have said all the bad news fit to print. The guy did SpaceX, and we're going to harvest all those asteroids. We're going to have plenty of raw materials because, rare earths. Let me do the right word. Is it because China says we own all the rare earths now? Bullshit. They don't own crap. By the way, I've been to China 80 times, so Chinese people are wonderful. I love them. I sold 374 million books in China. Nobody's outsold me because they didn't understand soul was talking about God stuff, pal. And, then... I can go on and on, but it's just so fun. So there are 40,000 satellites. He is solving the problems in Ukraine because he's got the satellites up. And Neuralink is really cool in case you don't know what he's done. And I'm opposed to the chip, and I understand some of you know some issues with the chip. But let me tell you what Neuralink has done. My wife's 1 of 9. One of her brothers is a top podiatrist up in Oregon. He's out surfing in Hawaii, breaks his back, and now he has to lay flat in a sling to do foot operations, and he's considered one of the best, if not the best in the world. I see what Elon's doing. With Neuralink, he's taking non-ambulatory people and making them ambulatory. He's taking blind people and making them sighted. Now, I'm not sure what the downsides are, and he isn't either, and he's the first one to say AI has some downsides to it, and we don't know what it is. But let's look at that objectively. Fire can either warm a house or burn it down. Fire doesn't care. It matters whether the person has a moral compass, and I'm asking you all to make all money you can make, but have a moral compass that's bigger. And I'm just saying, look, my position, and you don't have to like him, is Elon Musk is a genius. I'm going to talk to you about one more of his people. Now, here's the 6 most important words to start every business deal, to start loans, to start borrowing, to get funding. The 6 most important words are, let me tell you a story. Everyone say that, please. Why? We grew up at campfires in this story. Last time my wife and I happened to luck out and watch a movie called 10,000 BC, and that's the whole level of articulation started. I opened all the pyramids in Guatemala with the head of Harvard, Dr. Bill Saturno, who'd been flying at 100,000 feet in a stealth and turned the ocular and said, holy crap, there was a Mesoamerica. There were 10 million people. They did have a city every 30 miles, and I opened up San Bartolo, and in 2 weeks' time we helicoptered and opened up all this stuff. But you couldn't see it because it's got thousands and thousands of years of dirt. It's just a story, but that's what they did, is they told a story and pulled off stuff. My story. I'm 26 years old. I've been with Bucky Fuller. I'm trying to be Bucky Fuller. Bad idea. The world needs one Bucky Fuller, not two. And I can't be somebody else. I can only be a really good Mark Victor Hansen. You can only be a really good you. But I built a $2 million worth. I'm building the Wall Street Racquet Club, botanical gardens, aviaries, houses. I'm smoking. And then another company I don't like very much that makes a product I really hate, that they got sued for $10 billion and lost, Monsanto, is making my product that I do. My basic product is PVC, polyvinyl chloride, and I'm making these structures out of PVC. And I'm doing $40,000 worth of buying from them a month, and I think I'm a hotshot kid, and I thought I was, but they stopped. They said, we have an oil embargo, 1973 and 4, you don't get any. I went bankrupt so fast. I checked a book of the library, the biggest library in the world, New York Public Library, is a multi-million-dollar library, how to go bankrupt by yourself. I wanted to kill myself. For 6 months, I'm slipping in front of another guy's bedroom in a damn sleeping bag in Hicksville, Long Island, New York, and saying, oh my God, my self-worth and net worth are the same. I thought, what am I going to do? I finally said, okay, God, what is it you want me to do? God doesn't answer that way. He says, what do you want to do? I said, I want to talk to people that care about things that matter, that make a life transformative difference for them. Go down to breakfast with my 3 roommates in Hicksville, and I say, hey guys, you know anyone that's not a Broadway star, not a celebrity, not a cotton top, white haired guy like me, a doctor, a lawyer, but somebody I could relate to? Said, this kid's probably 10 years older than you. Here's my ticket. He's teaching us how to get out of the doldrums of real estate. In New York at the time, interest rate was 28%. I know it's hard to believe that because we're at 5 and 6 and 7, depends. Whew. He goes out, and I watch this guy take my little $400 pitted window, permanently air conditioned Volkswagen out there. He's got 500 people, and he's wowing them. He's hitting them at a soul level and making them laugh and enjoy and have fun and transform and start to do business again. One guy, Chip Collins. I go up to him at the end, and I ask, I say, can I take you to lunch? He said, what do you want? I said, I want to do what you do. He said, no, you don't. He said, 1 in 1,000 you're going to make it. You ain't going to make it. I said, don't do this. Do something real. I said, just tell me how to do it. He said, if you'll stay out of real estate, because I own the 5 boroughs of New York. And he trained Barbara Cochran, and you see her on Shark Tank all the time. But he trained a lot of us that did really well. He just passed away. Whew. He got me. Now, New York's a city that eats its young, as you know. That's the joke. Frank sings, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. And I thought, well, okay, I got to make it. So the first 3 years, I did 1,000 talks a year. Now, only Tony Robbins and I did 1,000 talks. We were one together one time. Now, what did I do to get there? Number one, I had white-hot burning desire. That's what you're going to have to go through the morass we're about to go into that George spoke to. Number 2, you've got to have the ability to ask, and we got a few of the books out there. You can go buy it elsewhere. 3, you've got to take self-initiative to action. Nobody's going to do it for you, and everybody's going to tell you can't do it, and that probably includes some of your family members and your relatives and all that. But once you succeed, you amaze yourself at how many family members you never knew you had show up. So my first talks were stumblingly inept, totally incompetent, but people still got it because I took the action to suffer through the pain and the anguish and that. And then they said, do you have that book, a story in a book? And the first book I did, self-published, Stand Up, Speak Out and Win. Sold 20,000 copies from the platform at $10 each. That's 200,000. In today's dollars, that's equivalently $2 million. So I was smoking. And I was a little group, 6, 7, 8, 10 people in a little life insurance office. And I love life insurance, but it's a great product. But the point is that we sold a lot of it, and I said, it's not a bestseller. It's not a New York Times bestseller. It's not a national bestseller, but it's my bestseller. And I'd like to sign it to you, your wife, your kids. And if you got a dog, I'll send it to your dog. But, you know, I bought a brand new Chrysler Cordoba car because it was just cool with white and Corinthian leather. It was way cool. So here's what you got to know. As we go into the yogurt here, what do customers pay for? Number one, if you can get customers for them, or those of you that are medical doctors or doctors of any kind in here, patients, right? For you big, sophisticated people, clients, whatever, increase the amount they purchase or value, upsell, downsell, side sell, whatever you got to do. And the guy on TV, I always see Mike Lindell. Man, that guy smokes when he sells stuff. If you ever get to see him live, you want to do that. Get them to buy more times, because a customer isn't real until they buy again and again and again. And I've been very blessed to have that. So the companies in the Hansen family of companies are purpose-driven businesses, and we have 3 Goals. George alluded to the middle one. You've got to be original. You've got to be unique. Every one of my books is unique. Ask is different because the first story in Ask is the parable of Michaela. It'll change your life. We had 100, 200 letters a day with people saying, I never read a book like this before. I woke up my wife in the middle of the night and I said, you got to read this. And then I woke up my teenage kids. Well, Hollywood's awake, except Hollywood, the top guy in Hollywood's moved to Nashville, so he's making it into a movie and has my wife expand it. So if you're original, you can do it. Transformative. One of my beliefs in our money book has a butterfly because we're saying, hey, look, you can't look at caterpillar and predict butterfly. I know we've all been in this stupid cocoon and it's time to break out. Take your hands without hitting your neighbor and say, I'm breaking out. Because it's time to do that. And then it's got to be inevitable that what you do is going to make you grateful and appreciative at levels you never even thought. Now here's Jack and I, when we were starting, we said, look, we want to change the whole world and we want to change it one story at a time, real close. And in 1999, we'd been turned down by 144 people, but I said, look, these are heart-touching, soul-penetrating stories that got a standing ovation every time we used them. So if everybody turned us down, somebody's got to take us. We go to the little book fair ourselves after our agent fired us, which has cost him at least 15 or 20 million bucks. We go there, we got backpacks loaded with 3-ring binders, and we arrive, and an old guy with a white beard walks up to me, weighs 350 pounds, and kisses my cheeks. I had no idea who it was. And he said, kid, you're going to change. I saw your book, and I wrote the endorsement to it. I said, who are you? He said, I'm Dr. Bob Fulgham. I said, oh my God, everything I need to learn in kindergarten, I was afraid to ask. Bob, I love your writing. You are a master monster guy. Anyhow, HCI took it, and Gary Seidler, the two partners, said, I cried all over my silk shirt. You're really good. We'll take it if you'll buy, let's see, you got to buy 20,000 books at $6 each, so we had a guarantee we'd buy $120,000 worth of books, so that's basically vanity. But look, when you get rejected, there's one clean 4-letter word, and all of us have been rejected by someone, somewhere, somehow, sometime, some reason. There's one word that'll get you through it. When it hits a screen, I want you to shout it as loud as you can. How many of you have been rejected? Could I see you raise your hands? Good. Now you know how to be rejection proof, right? Well, look, we sold $2 billion at retail, 500 million books, 254 different chicken titles, 54 languages, over $1 billion I made in licenses because I was reading one weekend George Lucas and Spielberg's book. They made $800 million in ET, but made $1.5 billion in licenses. I went into Jack and I said, we're going to start a licensing. He said, what do you know? Nothing. That's where you are, some of you. You don't know nothing, expect nothing. It doesn't matter. There's a circle around whatever it is that you want to do. You're on the outside. All you got to do is decide, like you heard George articulate, study, read, attend. I went to all the licensing meeting. I met all the best people. Just like the reason I sell more books than anybody has ever sold is I interviewed the 101 best-selling authors of fiction and nonfiction. I wrote down what they said. I created this wow of a business plan, which is why everybody turned us down, because the first thing I wrote was I'm going to sell 1 billion books, and they all went... They all knew you couldn't do that. No, I knew they couldn't do it. Will I do it? The answer is yeah, of course, because you can do anything you want to do. And then I wrote down 20 years ago we were going to do a movie, and we just finished it with Michael Caine, and you'll get to see it. It's a great movie called Bestseller. It's wonderful. But what do you got to do? There's a 90-10 law here. You got to invest your time in marketing and selling and hustling and self-promotion and going the extra mile and advertising and marketing, because there's going to be more business than ever, because they're going to try to put a lot of little businesses out. And if there's a recession, you got to say, I'm not participating. Everyone? I'm not participating. Louder? I'm not participating. Give your neighbor a high 10. Say, you ain't participating in this one. Now, the book I wrote, 1 Minute Millionaire, with Bob Allen, he was so good. He'd just written a book called Challenge. He'd written Nothing Down, 50 Ways to Buy Real Estate for Nothing Down. Bob and I have been friends a long time. And when I made all this money, I never got invited to a Hollywood party, so I had a Hollywood party. We had 500 people come. We had the Shirelles come and sing, and they brought as a birthday gift to me The Temptations. thought, wait, this is way cool, man. So if I don't get invited to a party, I'll hold the party. Anyhow, so I thought that was way cool. And Bob comes up to me and says, I want you to write the foreword to this. Well, the next day I'm flying up to do a talk in Vancouver, British Columbia, and he's sitting in first class. I said, Bob, what are you doing? He says, you're going to write the book with me. I said, no, I'm busy, man. I'm busy. We got a lot going in chicken land. So we wrote it, and the first line I wrote is, we want to create 1 million millionaires. And we're going to grow exponentially. Now, I haven't talked about that, but to be limitless, you've got to be exponential. Now, you all know our whole academic system and the way we've been taught from Fighting Alliance is to be linear. If I take 30 steps, that's linear. Exponential is doubling. So 1 goes to 2, but 2 goes to 4, 4 to 8, 8, 16, 32, 64. You know the rest. But if you start with one little dollar, sound like Jim Rohn, is it suddenly it becomes $1 billion in 30 iterations, 30 cycles. A lot of you are going to super cycle. I'm going to tell you about Peter Thiel, who took 10 kids 2 years ago, and 4 of them are already billionaires. So it can happen faster if you're limitless in your thinking, if you're exponential in your thinking. Everyone say, I am thinking exponentially. Now there's 1 million ways to make 1 million, and there's one right, perfect, easy, acceptable way to you. That's the point. Now, you can write down anything, and I said you should have limitless, perfect relationships. And I way out married myself, but I went through a very painful, expensive divorce, so I wrote down 267 things I wanted in my ideal wife, characteristics, values, virtues, impossible to meet. And I was single for a long time, so I got to have a lot of people come and want to marry my wallet, and I thought, well, you don't think I'm smart enough to see that? Well, anyhow, we had to have similar values. I traveled a lot. She had to want to travel. She had to love, if we both had kids, she had to love her kids. Her kids had to love mine hers. Our son is here, so you can ask him. He'll be at the table with me outside. She had to have great personal strength. She had to have a happy internal attitude. You and I set the dial on our head. I'm going to be pissed off and angry. Doesn't do you any good. The economy's bad, so I should be upset. Doesn't do you any good. Switch, pretend you got a switch in your head. Say, I'm switching to permanent happy. Everyone? Use your head. Use your head. This will get your subconscious working. Everyone? I'm switching to permanent happy. What fun to be with, has great spiritual practice, monogamous. Truly my best and closest friends, and that's who I married, Crystal, and she's my twin soul. Our son, who, he said, why are you worthy to marry her? What a great question. Anyhow, and then I got to tell you about her father just real quick. I love telling stories. I'll skip it. Storytelling, it's the most powerful way to put ideas in the world. And obviously, if you wrote what you were literally able to write, you would literally astonish yourself. And that's the whole category of books that Dr. Canfield and I have done. Now, how many of you want to write a book? It is the best door opener in the world. It's the best business card ever. If you want to write a book quickly, I know you're not supposed to do this, but pull out your cell phone if you would, please. We're going to do something different than you've ever done before, probably, because I've just learned this technology. You go to your text, pull out text, write in the number 21,000, 21 comma 3 zeros, and then under the words you fill in ask, and just press the button. We're going to send you 2 free books. We're going to send you a book. You have a book in you that I wrote, and my publisher's all for it. That G&D Media published it, and they've sold a heck of a lot of them, but now you're going to get it free. The second book we're going to get comes out next week, and it's called Relentless. And Mitzi Perdue, who's close friends with Ken and I, Daddy created a little company called Sheraton Hotels during the Depression, and ended up with 400 hotels during the worst economic time from 29 to 39, and made a fortune. Then she bumps into this guy named Frank Perdue, and they do 22 million chickens a week of Perdue chicken. If you get your chicken at, like we do sometimes at Costco for $4.99, that's hormone-free, out in the sunshine, best chickens ever. That's all Perdue chicken. It's called white labeling. But she said, man, you got the best life story ever. I want to write Relentless. And then the top critic just said, this is the most inspirational biography ever written, and we think it'll sell millions. You're going to get it before the public gets it for free. If you do that thing within next by the end of the day, go to 21,000 on your text and write in ASK ask. We get it to you free. But I hope how many of you saw the movie Bucket List? Can I see you raise hands? These two guys are dying and have a wonderful thing. And if you ever get a chance to be with Morgan Freeman, he is all-time high, one of the colossal, brilliant, fun actors to be with. Now, why do you want to write? Obviously, I'm an insider on this. First of all, I want you to write out of whatever your economic malaise is, I want you to tenfold it. How much are we going to do, everyone? That's a minimum, because you want to have fun, fame, fortune, opportunity, promotion, credibility, recognition, awards, get to meet everyone, travel everywhere, and just have a ball doing it and grow. Now, because the book industry, thanks to this COVID confinement, has gone from 19,000 bookstores to 400 in the last 2 years, which breaks my heart. I love those people, and they've been good to me, and I've been good to them, I think. We decided to start a company called MarkVictorHansenLibrary.com, and you can go there and we'll help you write your book, because 98% of the people are, I'm scared to write a book, I can only know this bunch of my stories. So we finish it for you and do a great job. And we're proud of our gifted storytellers, beloved books, audios, and we think we got movies in our future, and they're going to go literally global because everyone's going to have a cell phone. We got some cool ways to do it. Now, I'm part of the collective with the boys, and a while back, we're down in Houston, Texas with 700 people, and we're outside, Crystal and I, and this young man comes up to us, and he is trembling, and I go, what's wrong? He says, you intimidate me. You're world's best-selling author. I said, I just work hard 18 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week. Don't be intimidated. What is it you got? He says, well, I buy real estate, and I'm 14 years old, and at 8 years old, I'm the youngest kid ever to get the real estate license in Ohio, and now I own 60 properties. I'm worth $843,000. I said, what? Now he's talking to you tomorrow, but he's sitting in the front row. Devin, would you please stand up? Give this guy a round of applause, if you would, please. You may be seated, Devin. I'm in love with this kid. I said, look, I own a publishing company. We got to publish your book. Kids need to know this. My parents loved my brothers and I, but they didn't know how to make a fortune. They thought if you had a roof over your head and every kid worked and bought his own clothes and a little bit like a bicycle, you're doing great. If I'd known, I had enough cash flow. I could have bought real estate like him. Luckily, his dad and mom are here, and they are behind him. Now, his little brother pulls at my wife. That's our story. Ethan, in case it's not your story, says, I own real estate too. I'm 2 years younger and I own over $250,000. Ethan, would you stand up, please? Give him a round of applause if you would, please. I love their parents. The point is that kids can make a lot of money. And yeah, his books will be out at the table with my books out there. And I want you to get a picture with him and his mom and dad, because we got to teach our kids free enterprise. The most important line my dad ever taught me about that was, the more enterprising you are, the freer you are. And pride of ownership always is preceded by pride of ownership. Pride of ownership is always preceded by pride of earnership, meaning you got to earn it. There's no free lunch. And this kid's doing it. Now, these two guys were kids at Stanford, and you can see he used to be bald. He's had a hair transplant on the right, Alon. He gets with Peter Thiel, and they create PayPal, and they each make $4 billion. And then Peter Thiel invests in anything Alon does, Peter Thiel puts money in. But Peter Thiel, I told you, did those kids, and he pays kids not to go to college. And I thought, what a cool thing. And then he tells them, your network, and we're here to network with everyone. We're here to network with everyone. We're here to network with everyone and find the like-minded people that you want to work with. But he says, use my name to open the doors. Because you are now in the limitless tribe, the limitless family, the limitless group that we've agreed that you're in. You get to use my name. Say, hey, look, Mark Victor Hansen sent me. You can call anyone and say, Mark Victor Hansen sent me. If it gets you in, good for you. And if it doesn't, say la vie. What can I do? Peter Thiel was so impressive to me. The kid on the left, as you look at this, was born in Vietnam, 8th kid in the family. His dad works for us as a captain in the military. Eats 1 egg a day. His dad's a prisoner of war for 8 years in Vietnam and is Vietnamese. Finally gets out and while he was there, he learned how to do acupuncture, and he healed all the guards and everybody, so he had it a little better than most people. His wife trusted that he'd come back. She was faithful to the max. They were boat people. They come to America. Little Nathan never had been in a car, never felt a carpet, put his bare feet on a carpet, a car, first time lived in a mud hut, went like this and hit the first class window he'd ever seen. Ends up getting a Horatio Algier scholarship. Now you get that in the Supreme Court, and 10 of us get it a year and 1 international, and I've got it, and Judge Clarence Thomas puts the gold medal over you. And it means opportunity and equality, opportunity and equality. Now there are a lot of people saying we aren't equal to everybody. Everyone's got equal opportunity in America, but you got to do your own ass-busting behavior. Nobody can do it for you, and if somebody gives it to you, you're entitled, and you're not going to have it for very long because you haven't got what it takes to keep it. Anyhow, Nathan calls me up because he's making $15 million a year, and he's my student. When I met him at Horatio, he said, "Holy cow, we got to do this. We got to help other kids. We've done 35,000 scholarships. We've done 12,000 technical scholarships to learn how to be a plumber, electrician, all that. So we got to teach everybody an entrepreneur." So we did it at our house. You see Ken sitting next to him. And we got 2 of the kids here. Abigail, stand up, and Dr. Henley, stand. I don't know where you are. I can't see you in the light. So give them a round of applause, if you would, please. So we are now at Horatio going to have Horatio accelerators where we teach people how to do it. Now, here's the newest thing that's happening. All of us, I hope you're all addicted to Star Trek like I have been in the past. This is Jean-Luc Picard, Captain Picard. But one of the things they had in there is a replicator. Now, that guy who taught Roddenberry everything is in Arizona, and I'm not going to go into that, but one of the things was that we'd have a replicator now. Well, who's doing a replicator? Ken and I are very close. Well, anyhow, so Dr. Peter Demanda and has Singularity University, they've got the replicator started already, and it's working. And we're in a time that you're going to be able to take and synthesize and recycle anything on demand, subatomic particles, and you take them out of the air and you produce whatever you want, the food, the nutrition, everything. We're there. We're touching the hem of the garment. But this isn't what you're hearing in the news media, because the Crisis News Network is dedicated to you screwing up and you stopping and you getting stifled, stymied, and shut down and detoured. I'm telling you, this is the next thing coming. So Tarl said, make sure you encourage everyone to network here because you're in the right place. I made it in the speaking business because I came to Arizona. I'm a founding member of the National Speaker Association. $500 in, there's like $50,000 to me now. But I wanted to do this business with my whole heart, soul, and mind. And I hope, did you hear that or is it just me? No good, whatever it is, okay. Meet at least one new person every day while you're here and don't eat alone. Meet and befriend and share with everyone that is like-minded and make sure you get the information. Start your own mastermind lines. 2 or more get together. Andrew Carnegie did the first mastermind lines, became the richest guy at the time. And we've covered 4 things that you're going to go home with and are going to work perfectly for you. A limitless mindset will create limitless money. You got to decide exactly what you want to be, do, have, and go and travel. Write it down. Create your mastermind. And we conclude with one little line. This woman was born blind and deaf. And the doctor said we should kill her because she'll never have an opportunity, but she found one mastermind partner, little Annie Sullivan, who saw more in her than she saw in herself and became the wisest woman of her time. Close friends with Bucky, Helen Keller. She said what fits for everyone here as I conclude this one statement, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I are going to turn around the economy. You and I are going to double our own income. We're going to tenfold it. We're going to be limitless. We're going to pull off stuff that no one else even thinks about or believes. But today and this week and these 2 days are going to be pivotal to transforming your life and transforming your future. And I want you to go out and tell everybody what you learned here this weekend. And let's multiply the effect and have a Doppler effect go across America that makes America all that it can be. So you fulfill your destiny code that you are chosen to be here. You're chosen to do great, phenomenal things. You're chosen to be under the favor of God and make a difference. It makes a difference. It has a lasting legacy value difference. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for letting me share with you. Thank you. Thank you.